I'm a bit embarrassed about what a flippin' mess this is. I'm in the middle of a new project. 3 new projects? 1 new project? Whatever. I bought 3 Merit Pit Boss cabinets. These are Merit trivia type games. They don't have touchscreens. They had buttons to select your answers and play the games that were on them. They also have CRTs, 9-inch CRTs. Now, unlike Mega Touches that I've owned previously, I bought a bunch of Mega Touch projects from down in Portland, Oregon, and got a bunch of them running. Wanted to see how they work, how does the touchscreen work, all that kind of stuff, and had a lot of fun with them. They were VGA resolution CRTs. These are CGA, same as an arcade monitor. So, found these on the local Craigslist, 3 of them for sale for $50 for all 3. And they come up with I didn't actually turn them on before I got them home, but they come up with an Air 3, which as far as I can tell is the Dallas battery-backed RAM module on the circuit boards. That is pretty much, you can't replace it. So I think when the batteries die in those things finally, I don't think you can get the boards back up and running. So I don't think that you can actually play the games anymore the way they were, but I was mainly interested in the CRTs. I have a test rig, wooden box that has a isolation transformer, a switching power supply, a speaker, a JAMA harness, and I can test monitors with it. I can test PCBs with it. For video in it, I've got a 7-inch LCD. I think it's 7-inch diagonal. It's a widescreen LCD that I run in 4x3, and while I was putting it together, I cracked the face of it. And I also noticed that arcade boards seem to be blowing the picture out. I think it might be the arcade signal is too powerful maybe for the monitor, or it just needs to be adjusted, and I haven't looked into how you adjust it. Anyway, I thought maybe I can make a different test rig with one of these or parts from one of these. Now, one thing I didn't expect is these things weigh like 50-60 pounds. They are incredibly heavy. They have a CRT, they have an isolation transformer, they have a arcade switching power supply, they are made of MDF wood on the sides, and pretty much everything else is steel. So, super heavy, and I don't think it'd be that convenient turning one of these units, trying to turn it into a JAMA test rig, although that was kind of my idea, is maybe replacing the 2 buttons on the right with 1 player. Actually, there isn't much point in setting up 2 player, but maybe 1 player and a service button or a coin button. Well, I don't need a coin button. They have coin slots on the side. You can kind of see in there on the right hand side. There's a coin slot on the side of the cabinets. So yeah, maybe making it P1 start and a service button or something where those red buttons are, and then maybe taking out these buttons and putting a couple round arcade buttons to replace them, and a joystick through the hole for the left hand one, maybe, not sure. But yeah, I just got them the other day and got them home, and I've been tinkering with them. And this one here I've taken apart partially. Here's the control panel with the buttons removed. You can see these have extra holes on the side because they're the longer rectangular light up buttons, and so the way they're made, they have little round locating tabs to keep the rectangular buttons from turning. These are pretty much like a normal buttonhole. I believe they're the exact same size as a standard arcade button. And again, that's powder coated, I believe, powder coated steel. MDF sides, steel frame, isolation transformer, steel back panel, steel side panels, steel base, and I just figured out how to get the monitor out. The monitor is in the cabinets upside down, so you have to put the cabinet on the floor upside down and remove the top of the cabinet to get the monitor out. So you see that cabinet there, and you see the gray top metal panel. There's 2 screws in front, 2 screws in back, and that separates the whole top panel from the cab. So normally it goes here. So this kind of would fold down, and screws go through here, and there's back one on each side there, and that holds the frame in. And the reason you have to do that is because this monitor frame right here and here, it's bolted to the top, and here, you can get these bolts off, and there's a piece of metal that kind of clamps down to hold this side in, but not this side. But if you look on the side of the cabinet right here, this little tab and this little tab means that if you unbolt the 4 bolts holding the frame to this top panel, you can't lift it up because this side of the monitor frame only goes up like 1/8 of an inch, and then it hits these metal tabs. So that's why you have to lift the top off. And now this monitor should, and I haven't lifted it up yet, but yeah, it is totally free to come off of this lid. So yeah, it's kind of interesting when you're looking at the game like this. That monitor is mounted upside down. The chassis is up against the top of the cabinet and not on the bottom of the cabinet. As for the monitors, like I said, these are CGA arcade standard resolution monitors, and they are Wells Gardner. This one's made in 1991. 2 of them I have are Wells Gardner, and the other one is a Hantarex. This is the only one that I've powered up and actually tested here. What does that say? It's hard to see with the low light in here. 9K7704. I've read on the KLOV forums somebody else had one of these, and it takes the same cap kit as like a 19-inch K7000 Wells Gardner chassis. I noticed that the chassis does look similar to the K7000. A little bit different is over here. There's 2 of these large resistors on the side, and a 19 or 25 inch K7000 only has 1, so that's a bit odd. Like I said, I just got this out. Apologize for the mess and everything, but I just noticed that the anode cup is on the narrow end of the tube. That's interesting. Standard arcade monitors, when they're sitting horizontal like this one is, the anode is at the top there, but I'm guessing maybe these tubes are so small that the curvature at the top doesn't doesn't make a good fit for the anode cup, so maybe that's why they did it on the side, because it's got more of a gentle angle to the tube there. But yeah, the chassis looks pretty clean, which being upside down in the cabinet probably helps. But yeah, the monitor's got quite a bit of dust. I did dust this off outside. I have one of these things. Again, I'm not sponsored or anything, but I got tired of using canned air, paying for canned air. So I got one of these, made in the USA. They're awesome. A data vac. It's basically like a little vacuum cleaner, but it sucks the air in through the bottom. This is a foam filter that comes out so you can clean it, and blows it out through different types of nozzle. This one's supposed to have like a flexible end on it, but it broke off. It's plenty powerful enough, and you're using electricity, but you're not buying a bunch of canned air. So I used that as much as I could when I had it out in the backyard to get as much dust off as I could. But yeah, it's still going to need some more cleaning. So my plans were to take one of these apart, see how they come apart, and take the monitor out and maybe figure out what to do with the monitor. Like I said, this one I had my test rig hooked up to. So my test rig was providing the signal from a multi-Williams J-Rock board, JAMA board, and my test rig has an isolation transformer, so it was providing power and signal to this monitor. So it wasn't taking anything from the rest of the game. It wasn't using the isolation transformer in the cabinet, and it wasn't using the game PCB for a video signal. In fact, here's still my little removable plug for my test rig that I hooked up to the video input. And the picture looked great. Picture looked really good. It was a little bit too far to one side, but there's adjustments on the chassis for that. It looked a bit wide. I'm assuming there's a horizontal. Yeah, there's a horizontal. It's down in there. Black circular thing with a hole in the middle. That's your width coil. It looks just like the one on the 19-inch. So yeah, I should be able to get that dialed in good enough that I can use it for a test monitor. So my current thinking is maybe taking this and just making a wooden box that's just big enough to house it, and then with venting on the top so it doesn't trap the air in the box. Maybe the box just goes out to the front and the tube is exposed. Maybe, I don't know. And then I can put that somewhere. Yeah, I don't have room anywhere, but maybe I can find some place to put that. And that will be like a test monitor. So if I'm testing a PCB, and excuse the camera movements again, but over there, that's my JAMA test rig. You can see the JAMA harness coming out of the left-hand side, hooked up to a J-Rock multi-Williams board right now. There's a controller that plugs into it, into the front where the power cord goes, and you can also see possibly two wires there. One is hooked to an isolation transformer in the box, and the other one's hooked to a switching power supply in the box. So that I can use that box itself hooked to, like I said, I've got an LCD that's inside the box that I don't have a frame for, and it just kind of sits in the box to make it completely 100% portable test rig. Or for a better picture, because that LCD, the picture looks kind of crappy and I cracked the screen, having this as a test monitor. The other thing I could do is make a cabinet similar to this from scratch and make it a just a JAMA cabinet, or put one specific game in it and just have it as an arcade cabinet, a little arcade bar top with a 9-inch screen. And because I won't be using a bunch of steel, hopefully it won't weigh the same amount as this thing does. Of course, rocking this back and forth with the monitor out, it doesn't seem to weigh. Yeah, well, yeah, most of the weight is the monitor, but yeah, I'm not sure how much weight it would save making my own bar top cabinet. This is MDF. I might use, if I do it, I might use particle board instead, and maybe a wooden control panel instead of that steel one, but it would still have to have the isolation transformer for the monitor and be big enough for at least one joystick with 4 buttons. So yeah, just not sure. I just thought for $50, getting 3 of these with working monitors was not a bad deal and would give me something fun to play around with. So that's the start of this project. I did find 4 quarters in one of the machines, so I guess $49 right now, plus the cost of the electricity to drive 2 miles round trip to pick them up and bring them back. That is my cost in this project at this point. So the circuit boards, I forgot about that. There's tinted plexi for each of them. They're in various states of light scratches. It's just plexiglass, tinted plexiglass with black paint that covers up the side of the game that doesn't have the monitor in it. And then here's the circuit board. And I believe technically the 03 error says there's a problem with the Dallas key. And I think this, well, I know this is a security key and it's got Dallas on it. So this is a Dallas security key. But I don't think that's the actual problem. I think the actual problem is this. Okay, this, well, that's not even a Dallas. It's a different company. Okay, but anyway, yeah, I believe that this is, in fact, one of them I swear did say Dallas SRAM. I think this is a battery backed up RAM chip. Or, yeah, and I think the battery dies, it loses its code. And that's the end of it, I think. Kind of like a CPS2 arcade game where when the battery goes, the chip that holds the decryption key to decrypt the software or the firmware gets erased, and so the game can't run because the chips are encrypted. So it's a copy protection method. So I believe that's what's wrong with it. I found one post on the newlifegames.org forum. Awesome forum for all your slot machine questions. And somebody had a board that was not a Merit Pit Boss board, but some other board that used Dallas-backed RAM, and they just put a regular RAM chip, and then they made a circuit with a coin cell battery and a couple diodes that went to the RAM chip. But that wasn't one of these Merit boards, and I think the security on the Merit boards, it might be what's called the suicide battery, where that battery dies, it loses its code, and then the game's not going to run. And the company doesn't make these anymore. I mean, this is a 1990. I think 2 of these circuit boards are copyright 1990 and one's 1991. So, not anything that is available. And if you found an old one that was sitting on a shelf since 1990, there's a very good chance that the battery, even not being plugged in on it, would also be dead. So pretty sure that you can't resurrect these. Although, I might, if I find out later that I can and I still have one of these things left, I might, get it running and see if I could sell it for $50 and get my money back out of the thing. Or I might give one of these to a friend or one of the local arcade guys if they want to mess around with one and make a little portable test bench or something. Anyway, I'm rambling on too much as usual. Just thought, well, now that I've got this monitor out, which is really cool, I think that it's actually got its own frame. It's not just, I mean, everything is so compact in this unit. It's ridiculous. So I expected that they might have just had, you know, 4 pieces of metal maybe mounted in the cab that the tube is mounted to, and then the chassis mounted somewhere else. But it actually does have a complete frame. So this is a completely removable monitor assembly with the chassis on it. So yeah, that's it. I'll probably have another, well, I'm sure I'll have another part to this video. I want to figure out what to do with it.